me acostumbré a tenerte, como si no fuera a acabar. Oh, no. Yo sé que para volver ya es tarde, y nuestro plan nunca fue quedarse. No sé si habrá una segunda parte, pero si algo nos quedó es todo lo que pasó. Amor, me
comes up. She made my coffee in my favorite cup. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. When I'm in trouble and I have no friend, I know she'll go with me until the end. Everybody asks me how I know. I smile at them and say she told me so. That's why I know, oh I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. Now if I call her on the telephone and tell her that I'm all alone, by the time I count from 1 to 4, I hear her on my door. In the evening when the sun go down, when there is nobody else around, she kisses me and she holds me tight and tells me, Daddy, everything's alright. So I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. if I call her on the telephone and tell her that I'm all alone. By the time I come from 1 to 4, I hear her on my door. In the evening when the sun goes down, when there is nobody else around, she kisses me and she holds me tight and tells me that everything's all right. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her. Oh, hallelujah. Don't you know, I just love her so. She's my little woman way across town. Babe, I'm a little fool for you, little girl.
I'm the boy in your other phone, lighting up inside your drawer at home, all alone, pushing 40 in the friend zone. We talk and then you walk away every day. Oh, you don't think twice about me. Maybe you're right at that. But if you give me just one night, you're gonna see me. If you give me just one night to meet you underneath the moonlight, so I can see you in the moonlight. Take a ride up to Malibu. I just wanna sit and look at you, look at you. What would it matter if your friends knew? Who cares what other people say anyway? Oh, we can go far from here. Look at the world together.
Welcome to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation National Town Hall. Please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Welcome to the 2025 ALC National Town Hall. Please welcome to the stage President and CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Nicole Austin Hillary.
Good morning. I am so happy to see you all today. I wish you could see what I see. You all are back up against the walls, and that's because we have business to take care of this morning, do we not? I'm so happy to see you all. Welcome to our 2025 National Town Hall meeting. You know, it is always informative to have you all here because this is the event where we set the agenda for the conference, okay? This is where we all get our marching orders so that we know what we need to do when we get back into the communities. So it is especially important this year in 2025 because of the breathtaking and challenging moment that we find ourselves in, that we come together in this moment, have this conversation, and all leave here armed and ready to get down to business when we get back to our hometowns. I have to tell you, it is almost unimaginable to me that we are living in the times we are living in our nation's history. You know, I'm going to age myself when I say this, but I'm a Twilight Zone fan. And I can't tell you how many times I've said to myself, I feel like Rod Serling has put me into the twilight zone. But nonetheless, it grounds me, and it should ground us so that we are very clear-eyed about where we are in this moment. So this National Town Hall today is focused on our theme for this year's annual legislative conference, which is Made for This Moment. And we are made for this moment because we are moving forward in unity. That's what this is all about. Every one of us in this room has a job to do. We all have leadership roles, and we are here in unity. So I want you to know that Made for This Moment, those are not just a set of empty words. They are your directive and your reminder about our history, what we've been through, what we're made of, and what we will continue to do to rise above. We are made for this moment, and don't let anyone tell you differently. Now, yes. Now, I think, you know, some people might say we could respond to this all-out attack on our progress by just complaining and licking our wounds and, you know, sitting on the couch and being Monday morning quarterbacks. But that's not what we do, is it? We get down to business and we get to work. We have made progress over all of these years because we don't sit on the couch, because we know how to do things like march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. We know how to do things like stand up in front of the courthouse doors and demand justice. So that is what we will continue to do as a community. So the National Town Hall in this moment allows us to be face to face with these challenges. We are moving forward in unity. We have the power. And now you've heard us say many times that this conference is the largest Congressional Black Caucus conference in many years. And it is so because of all of you. But not only is this one of our largest conferences ever, this is the largest Congressional Black Caucus class ever in the history of the Congressional Black Caucus. That is progress, that is power. And you need to know this, it is made up of smart, imaginative, courageous, and dedicated leaders who do not back down. They know how to push forward, and they know how to push back. And that's what they are doing on behalf of all of us. So please know that the essential element in building power is bringing us all together. And that's how our progress has been achieved, and that's what we're going to ensure in this conference. And we know we need it now more than ever, and we need you now more than ever. We need people to make commitments. We need you all to walk your talk. We need you to organize. We need you to go back into your communities and your sororities, your fraternities, your church basements, your civic associations, and do the work so that we can get the job done. It is on all of us to do this. Look yourselves in the mirror and say, you are the change that you want to see, and you are the leader who is ready for this moment. So yes. Now, as usual, for our annual town hall, we have an array of some of the best minds, experts, activists, and change makers and thought leaders to bring their words, their vision, and their directives to you. We have two panels today, and they will take a look at how we got here and where we need to go from here. So, as a nation, they are going to look at how we got here and what we need to do. They're going to lay out bold directives. They're going to ask you to be proactive, and they're going to tell you how we all need to be proactive, because they all collectively believe in the mission of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and of the Congressional Black Caucus, that racial equity is what is owed to everyone. Yes. Justice is what is owed to everyone. And we have to stand together in this moment. We have to build momentum, and we have to push forward. No matter what anyone says about us, we know that is who we are and what we do. I want to thank the sponsor of our National Town Hall today, because you all, this is not free, okay? I know you all look pretty and nice and the room looks nice, but it's not free. And we have sponsors who stand with us and beside us because they believe what we do. So please give a round of applause to the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, who is our title sponsor for the National Town Hall. We are so grateful for their commitment and their support. Now, I hope you all leave this space today with a vision for what we need to do. please don't just leave this space and say, oh, I heard from these amazing leaders, I heard from these amazing experts. I implore you, and my charge to you is to take something from this meeting, this town hall, do something with it, take it back to your communities, and again, be the change makers that you want to see. I know that's who you are, I believe in you, and I know that together, working in unity and in collaboration, we can make progress for Black America and for the global Black community. So now it is my distinct pleasure to welcome to the podium the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Board of Directors. She is none other than the honorable, the warrior, the voting rights champion, Congresswoman Terry A. Sewell from the 7th Congressional District of Alabama. Please welcome her to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Y'all can do better than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to thank Nicole for her leadership of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. It is on behalf of my colleagues in the CBC. Yes, we are 62 strong, and 31 of us are women. So it is on behalf of the CBC and the 37 board members of the CBCF that I welcome you to our National Town Hall. Each year, this town hall serves as an opportunity to hear from some of our nation's brightest minds about the situation that we're facing and the critical work that lies ahead. This year is especially important as the forces that are hitting us are against us. Decades of work to expand opportunity, increase diversity, dismantle inequities, and to fulfill the promise of the civil rights, all are under attack and are rolling back. You know, progress is elusive. Every generation has to fight and fight again in order to make sure that we hold on to the progress that we've made and to try to advance it. I see that as a challenge to all of us. We can and we must fight back. Old battles have become new again because of the intentional actions of the last 8 months are rooted, I believe, in the swamp of discrimination and injustice that has plagued our beloved nation for generations. But I submit to you, we have never been better positioned to push back. The CBCF, through Nicole and our amazing staff, has been working diligently to gather data and to lay the groundwork that will be essential to our fight ahead. And fight, we must. We must fight back. Because when we fight, we do win. When we fight, I don't know about you, but we push back on the Tuskegee Airmen being taken out of the Air Force manual, and what? They put it back in. They may try to intimidate us, but when we're on the right side of history, we must push back. The Congressional Black Caucus will continue to use our power to combat evil. Those who seek to tear us down are not only attacking us, they are attacking all Americans who cherish democracy. My fellow members of the Congressional Black Caucus and I promise that we will use this moment to continue to amplify our Black voices and to push for progress. And as you're about to hear, we have people with intellect, experience, and courage to help us advance our cause. I want to close by expressing the hope that our discussion today will not only produce valuable insight, but also solutions. We need to be armed with solutions because each of us has a role to play. We as a CBC must legislate, we must argue, we must advocate, but you all must vote like your life depends upon it. Vote like your life depends upon it. It's not enough to say that we stand on the shoulders of giants. You have to do your own work, right? We have to do our own work. So, without further ado, I want to also thank our amazing honorary co-chairs of this year's conference, none other than Representative Joe Neguse, and I have the great honor of introducing our next speaker, and she is truly a CBC sister of mine. She's amazing. She's a trailblazer, a history maker, none other than the senator, the first African-American woman senator from the great state of Maryland, Senator Angela Also Brooks.
Well, good morning, everyone. Oh, let me tell you, this is the committed crowd, and I love this audience packed to the back of the room because you all are warriors and you are ready for this moment. Now, can you help me thank the Superbag Congresswoman Terry Sewell for her leadership? She's worked so very hard to get us here today. She and Nicole want to thank them so much. And I want to thank all of you all for being present this morning at this National Town Hall, because you are not just passive observers. This session, more than any other, requires your participation and your full engagement because we need your voice, and we already know that you have brought a great spirit with you this morning. Now, you know, our opponents claim that Black Americans have unfair advantages, that we've made too much progress, and that our progress, hear this, has come at the expense of others. The undeniable reality is that Black Americans continue to be left behind when it comes to economic opportunity, educational resources, proper health care, and so much more. The wealth gap between Black and white Americans is nothing new, but it continues to grow even wider and at an accelerated pace. According to the Census Bureau, the median wealth of Black families is about 1/10 of that of white families. And that is not just a number. It is for so many of us a stark reminder of the deeply rooted inequities that continue to shape Black life in America. And it goes way beyond income disparity, and it's getting dramatically worse. Through executive actions and pressure tactics, the weakenings of federal agencies, the withholding of critical funding, partisan redistricting designed to silence voices, and even federal takeovers of cities, decades of our hard-won gains are being undone. And you know what? They're not finished yet. Over the past few decades, our efforts have made progress. But now the people in charge want not only to roll back this progress, but they want to punish those who embrace it as they set about rebuilding the structures of the past that have left us behind. The result has been fewer rights for marginalized communities, widening gaps between races and classes, and the dangerous threat of further exclusion from American life. This morning, we are going to hear from some of our best thinkers about the character of these threats and what we can do to turn them back. Closing these racial gaps would actually boost our GDP, benefit all Americans, and raise our standard of living. That's the goal, to lift up all Americans. When we take meaningful steps to ensure opportunities and to end discrimination, not only do African Americans make progress, but white Americans benefit as well. We all benefit, in fact. In the face of these reactionary attacks, we must respond quickly with thoughtful solutions and collective action. How do we get here? And how do we move forward? That's the business of this National Town Hall, and we are so grateful for the opportunity to address these questions with all of you. We are grateful, too, for the sponsor who's made it possible for us all to be here, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And I want to just say, as I take my seat, to all who have gathered today, and I sense that you share the feeling that I do. In all that we discuss and all of the strategies that we put together, I want us to remember that we are yet in a season. And we all recognize that seasons do pass. And so let our work here be in preparation for, because I don't want any of us to be constrained by what our eyes see today, because our ancestors have taught us that our mere presence here today is evidence, proof positive of our ability to move past any barrier put before us. And in fact, once we knock down this barrier, the truth of the matter is that we get stronger and stronger. And you know what? Our successive generations are waiting. They're preparing the conversations we're going to have today about the ways that we build economic opportunity and prepare for the future are ones that are ensure that no one can hold us back. And if that's not enough, I want to tell you one other thing that makes me get up each morning. The people who are in charge of all of this, knocking down, tearing down, and breaking, well, they got 4 years and I have 6. So when they leave, and they will, we're going to repair every single thing they've tried to break. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. And I'd like to introduce, yes, please help me to welcome Dr. Camille Bousset, who is representing, she's president for programs and executive vice president for programs of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. We thank her for being here this morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with you. And I want to start by thanking the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Board Chair, Representative Terry A. Sewell, Congressional Black Caucus Foundation President Nicole Austin Hillary, and our honorary event co-chairs, my senator, Senator Angela Alsobrooks, and Representative Joe Neguse. I'm Camille Bousset. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, where we are taking bold steps to transform health in our lifetime and to create a future where health is no longer a privilege, but a right. I stand before you here today not just as a foundation leader, but as someone who believes our democracy's survival depends on what we do in this room. To the members of the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, thank you for fighting for a more just future for everyone. Your unwavering leadership has never been more critical than it is today. I want to be crystal clear. At the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, we aren't just applauding your mission. We are all in. Why are we all in? Because when democracy is under assault, when health equity is treated as optional, and when entire communities are being systematically excluded from the very systems meant to serve them, neutrality is duplicity, and silence is complicity. Right now, as we speak, this administration is enacting federal policies that are dismantling the safety nets that keep families healthy and communities strong. Public health agencies are being gutted. Programs that save lives are being slashed. This isn't just policy. This is an attack on our collective future. But can we talk as a family for a second? There is a reason why some leaders are intentionally trying to erase our history. It's because when you know our people's history, you learn our struggles, but you also learn our victories. You learn that this isn't the first time leaders have tried to take our rights, but we overcame that, and we will overcome it again. This isn't the first time that people tried to relegate us to second-class status, but we overcame that, and we will overcome it again. This isn't the first time that leaders tried to lock us out of their schools, neighborhoods, and workplaces, but we overcame that, and we will overcome this too. When you understand our history, you understand our vision, our power, and our resilience as a people. Let me close by saying that the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is absolutely honored to be with you here today. But we won't be with you just today. We will continue to use our resources and voice to reject the politics and policies of the past. We will continue to amplify the wisdom of communities represented here and watching online, who are bringing real solutions to our national challenges. We will continue to use the letters D, E, and I. And we will make it clear how DEI moves this nation forward. We will pave a way, along with all of you, to a future where health is no longer a privilege, but a right. The future is watching. Let us build it together. Thank you.
Good morning. It's a high honor and a distinct privilege to help kick off this important Congressional Black Caucus National Town Hall meeting. To my colleagues in government, the amazing Congresswoman Terry Sewell, Senator Angela Alsobrooks, Congressman Joe Neguse, and Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, I'm so thankful for all that you do to show up, stand up, and speak up on behalf of our communities. To the distinguished panelists who are participating in this town hall today, thank you for your work and for your advocacy for such a time as this. And I'm so thankful for everyone who has come from far and near to participate in the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's Town Hall meeting and this annual legislative conference, which is urgently necessary during these challenging times. This is a difficult moment for the United States of America. We have a hater in the White House, haters throughout the cabinet, and haters in the United States Congress. We want to move the country forward. The extremists are trying to turn back the clock. We're working hard to bring people together. They're doing everything they can to tear us apart. Our community believes in truth and reconciliation. They want to erase Black history. But the Congressional Black Caucus has made clear that Black history is American history, and we will never let the extremists erase it. They tried to cancel Harriet Tubman. We stopped them. They tried to cancel Jackie Robinson. We stopped them. They tried to cancel the Tuskegee Airmen. We stopped them. They've tried to cancel the civil rights movement and the struggles that were made here in America, and the Congressional Black Caucus has repeatedly stopped them. Now we know that in this great country of ours, whenever progress has been made, it has always triggered a backlash amongst those interested in elevating white supremacy, this ugly underbelly in American society. There was the progress of emancipation and Reconstruction, followed by the backlash of Jim Crow, the KKK, and a lynching epidemic. There was the progress of the Civil Rights Movement in the Great Society, the Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, Fair Housing Act, and the War on Poverty, followed by the backlash of the election of Richard Nixon and the rise of mass incarceration that has devastated our communities. There was the progress of the election of Barack Obama and the African-American journey from the outhouse to the White House, followed by the election of the current occupant of the White House. Progress followed by backlash. But as we work hard to meet this moment, all hands on deck. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. As we fight to end this national nightmare and bring about a better country, let us carry with us the words of John Lewis, who reminded us not to get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get into good trouble, necessary trouble, to make this country the best version of herself. So together, we fight on to end this national nightmare. Show up, stand up, and speak up for this country and our community's role in it, in order to make sure we continue our march toward a more perfect union. God bless you, God bless the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Please welcome to the stage Vice President of the Center for Policy Analysis and Research at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Jonathan Fox.
Thank you. Good morning. So I am glad to be here with you all. I also offer my thanks and appreciation to everybody for joining us today for the National Town Hall. Sessions like this really stand as a powerful representation of the policy work that the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation continues to develop and champion. Now this morning, I have the distinct privilege of introducing our moderator for the first panel discussion, Mr. Ed Gordon. Ed Gordon is an Emmy Award-winning journalist, television host, and author with more than 4 decades of experience amplifying the voices and stories that shape Black America. Widely recognized for his insightful interviews with newsmakers, world leaders, and cultural icons, Gordon has served in key roles at BET, NBC, CBS, and NPR. He is best known as the former host of BET Tonight and Weekly with Ed Gordon, where his signature style of direct yet thoughtful questioning made him a trusted voice in media. In addition to his broadcast career, Gordon leads Ed Gordon Media, a production company dedicated to telling diverse stories, and is the author of Conversations in Black on power, politics, and leadership. His work consistently highlights issues of race, justice, and leadership, and he remains a sought-after speaker and moderator on topics of culture, equity, and public life. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ed Gordon. I had to give you the big one. Thank you, brother.
Good morning. Listen, just a couple of things real quick. This is part one of a two-part, what we hope to be powerful discussion. My esteemed colleague, Joy Reid, will be taking the other side of this, so we want to look forward to that. Just take a look around, if you will. This room is packed. Congresswoman Sewell already told you it's about the fight now. And if you get enthused and are moved in this room, but you don't take it outside of this room, you're going to waste a couple of hours. We have to be prepared, as Hakeem Jeffries just said, for a fight. And if you don't believe you have a part in it, and if you don't believe as a single individual you can't make a difference, there's a reason Jimmy Kimmel is back on ABC. And that's because people stood up. And so if we can stand up to put a late night talk show host, no matter how much you like him, back on, then we can stand up for our lives. So let's make sure that we do that. I am going to get right to the introductions so we can move this along as we are behind just a little bit. There's a cliche to say this person needs no introduction. For this young lady, it is not a cliche. She is one of the greatest warriors the Congress has ever seen. Ladies and gentlemen, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Next is Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan. She has served the greater Richmond area in elected office for nearly 20 years. She was elected to the Virginia House of Delegates in 2005 and served in that post until she was elected to Virginia's State Senate in 2017. She has entered the U.S. Congress in 2023. I need not say it because you already jumped the gun. Ladies and gentlemen, Congresswoman McClellan. Next is Reverend Siobhan Arline, make sure you get it right, Bradley. She serves as the President and Chief Executive Officer of the National Council of Negro Women. She brings more than 2 decades of her leadership to the fore, and we welcome her. Last but not least, Mark Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League. the nation's largest historic civil rights and urban advocacy organization. And let us give them one more collective round of applause. I talked to the panel, and the theme was to be a look back, and we're going to look back briefly, but the reality is we need to look to today and what we need to do today. Congresswoman Waters, I want to start with you and ask you this question. Right before the election, you and I sat down, and I asked you during an interview to talk about the times that we are in, the danger that we are seeing. Anyone who came into the hall today, there was a weapons check. This is real. Talk to us about how we need to understand how dangerous of a time we are living.
Well, thank you very much, and let me just say I'm delighted to be here and to see the turnout this morning. I was thinking it was going to start so early and nobody was going to be here, but look at you. This is wonderful. Well, let me just go back to the first election of Donald Trump. I warned this country that this man was dangerous, that he was going to be divisive, that he could not be trusted. Well, it was kind of early, and some of the things that I was saying was just too hard on the ear, and people didn't think maybe, you know, I should almost attack this potential president, but I knew who he was. I'd watched him as he was going through the election and the way that he had talked about this country and us and all of that. And so it's turned out to be more than I even dreamed could happen from someone as the President of the United States. Someone called him a hater. He's worse than that. He's low down, he's no good, he is vicious, he is harmful, he is dangerous. Any adjective that I could think of rests within this President of the United States. And he started out attacking us, talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. He said that every nonprofit, all of the government agencies, everybody had to get rid of anything that sounded like diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he didn't even have a definition for it. He says, whatever I think it is, you should not be able to do it. And so he has not only exercised executive power in the way that we never imagined. He does not give a darn about the Constitution and doesn't care about democracy. And so he moved forward, and going on from, you know, diversity, equity, and inclusion, I just want to mention that he teamed up with his then friend, Elon Musk, and he sent him into our agencies and told people, you're fired, get out. As a matter of fact, when he went into the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, he said, out by 5. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of the sundown discrimination of years in this country of America, where people had to get out of certain communities by sundown. And that's how Elon Musk handled it. But what could we expect from Elon Musk? He comes from South Africa. His parents and his grandfathers and all of them were involved in what we were fighting against in this country to get rid of what they were doing that was extraordinary in South Africa. But we won that fight. Let me just say that we had notice. They put out a project in 2025, and they kind of told us, we coming after you. And so we read it. Some of us thought, well, they wouldn't dare try to do away with the Department of Education. But that was top on his agenda also. And so he sent over a woman to head it who knew nothing about education. As a matter of fact, she was someone who was invested in wrestling. And so, you know, we took him on. Now, here's what I want to talk about a little bit in advocacy, and I'm going to turn it right back. What do you do when the President of the United States, in an executive order, says, I'm getting rid of the Department of Education? Well, we did what we thought we could do. We got up early in the morning. it was about 19 degrees, and we went and we tried to get into the Department of Education, because I'm not only a legislator, I'm an activist. I'm on the ground, you know what I mean? So we went over there, knocked on the doors, told them to come on out, and they did not do it. We worked in all of our communities across this country, telling folks that everybody, this is very dangerous. He wants to get rid of the Department of Education. We have to educate the children of this country for the future. But he absolutely was focused on minorities in education, because what he's trying to do is limit success. He's trying to take away the ability to be educated, to have careers, to have ownership, to be entrepreneurs. The way you do it, you start young in these communities with protection 1A. Yep. The educators know what this is all about. And so when you talk about who he is, where does he come from? Well, he has defined himself very well. We don't have any questions about will he do this or will he do that. He kills folks. He just killed people in Venezuela in the boats. He didn't stop to try and investigate them. He said, oh, they're drug dealers, and they bombed them. They've bombed 2 ships now. And when he sends, into our communities, the National Guard, he sends them in because he knows there may be confrontation. And we gotta be smart. We can't not let them get us in confrontations where they shoot down our young people. But then
and we're
in California, they sent in the National Guard.
I love her.
But listen, they know when they invite me, I'm going to do what I do. And so, with all due respect, I love you. I'm going to close down for now, but I got something for you, okay? Thank you.
Now, anyone who's ever been at a town hall with me, you know I will shut them down, but this one I ain't doing nothing. I'm just listening. Mark, let me move to you very quickly and ask you about what Maxine has brought up, and that is the idea that when Project 2025 came, I do think that there was a belief that there were certain guardrails that this nation had. We saw very quickly there are none. What do we need to do to bolster the idea of trying to shift this, shut it down, change it?
First of all,
beyond the rhetoric.
Yeah, I'm just honored to be here to see this powerful crowd, and to Nicole and Terry, one more time, we give them a round of applause. Listening to the wisdom of Maxine Waters, we are up against a wall here. This is unprecedented. Had you said in the year 2000 that in the next 25 years, this nation would, 1, elect a black man as president, 2, place 5 African Americans in the United States Senate, and number 3, have 62 black members of Congress, and African American mayors of virtually every major American city, and that as well, you'd have a hate administration in the White House, you would have said that you all are watching too much science fiction. It would have been unimaginable to predict those things. So we've got to understand the starting point is that this is a contradiction of the glass half full and the glass half empty, it seems. I think we need to, in order to really understand why we are here, we need to understand these facts. Number one, in 2016, when Donald Trump won his first term, it was the success of a voter suppression campaign run by extremist interests in this country, supported by interests in Russia, who ran a campaign of voter suppression that suppressed the African American vote to less than 60%. Previously, in 2012 and in 2008, the African American voter turnout was 65+%, And you know the outcome of those 2 elections. By the very same token, in the second Trump administration, in 2024, this last election, guess what the African American voter turnout was? It was 59%. It was the same thing as in 2016. In 2020, the Biden win, the African American voter turnout was 64%. We need to understand that in this country, politics and elections matter. And all this bullshit, because it's bullshit, about politics and elections not mattering is the formula of these suppression campaigns. In 2016, the suppression campaign targeted at young African American men was YouTube videos, posts on Twitter, and a campaign that was sweet and fancy, which said, don't vote, send them a message because, quote, they're not going to reform the criminal justice system. By the very same token, in 2024, you had African American men who were receiving and bombarded with YouTube videos and digital ads around the trans issue. It was designed to trick and bamboozle us. The root of the rise of Trump is that we must embrace the fact that from 1965 to the year 2000 and really to the year 2013, it was African American turnout that put Barack Obama in the White House, put African American mayors in major American cities. It was our political engagement that made a difference. They're suppressing and going after the Voting Rights Act and voting for a reason. If they had not been able to disable the Voting Rights Act, they couldn't do what they're doing in Texas and in Missouri by systematically wiping out black seats. So what we've got to understand, we can have all the policy proposals, all the agendas, all the seminars, all the great proposals, but if we do not understand that we've got to figure out a way to recapture and never ever minimize our power at the ballot box, then we are not going to be able to restore this, because this dude could give a damn about the rule of law. He couldn't give a damn. When he laid all those people off, he didn't care about civil service rules. He didn't care about due process. He didn't care about any of that. So we have to remember, and we've got to educate. Now, I'll say this as a final thing, because I heard it and I saw it. I know that in our community beyond this room, we got families, brothers, sisters, seniors, suffering, who sometimes say, all this politics does not matter. All these politicians lie, tell us stories, don't show up after they've been elected. We got to hear what they're saying, so that now we got to not get caught in yesterday's strategies and agenda and bring something new. They want people who are going to put an agenda out there and then fight for that agenda like Maxine Waters does, come hell or high water. And that's what they want.
Reverend, let me ask you this to piggyback off of Mark, and I want to slow Mark down because he already said damn and bullshit, and we know what the next word is, so I don't want you to get there. Rev, let me ask you this.
Let me channel my mother back into it, okay?
Reverend, let me ask you this as the head of the Council of Negro Women. There is a reality, though, to what Mark is saying, that there are a lot of people who are disenfranchised, who don't believe that one side of the aisle is any better than the other side of the aisle for their day-to-day. I'm curious what you think has to be done to bring them on board. I know that as you look to women in particular, you have that fight on occasion. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here with everyone. And I just want to say this. There's two things that we see happening right now on the ground. 318,000 black women not working should give the country insight into where we're going to go globally. When black people policies or targeted policies towards black people and their advancement are activated, that means the entire country is shifting in an opposite direction of more have and have not. One of the things that we realize at NCNW is very clear. Dorothy Height still lives, I want you to understand. She was ahead of her time in these moments. What I believe we have to think about is direct service and direct action. That's what NCNW is focusing on. Everyday African Americans, I don't want to downplay this. A lot more of our people are checked in than we give them credit. There are a lot of young people that are calling to the carpet the way that they see politicians move. And there's a lot more, I say, critique than we're really ready to deal with. And the critique is centered in how does this policy translate into me eating? How does it translate into me having my mortgage paid and my house paid? And this is why the beauty of a Maxine Waters is so important, because we have to give everyday solutions to how those policies are connected. We are the only black and woman-owned building on Pennsylvania Avenue. We are proud and also mortified by that, because the idea of black ownership has to become a primary conversation in our communities. But black ownership can't happen without the economy. So if we are a $2.1 trillion spending community, where 52% of those spenders are black women, and then you take 318,000 jobs from those women, the intent is clear. The 92% scared the hell out of them. That's what happened. So when black women as a voting bloc, we realized at NCW, we're gonna have to go to direct service. So we're now focusing on programs and projects that give funding to students for schools, that focus on helping women understand how to find jobs in this market. But here's the switch. The problem is we just can't do service programming. We've got to also teach activism at its core. And direct action means, yeah, we're going to give the people needs, but we got to learn how to fight these systems that are causing our people to have these needs. And it's a dual strategy. That's why it's an inside-outside game. To the activists in the room, agitate these walls like crazy. To the leaders in Congress, throw us the bones so we know what to say outside that you can't say. It is the way that this activation looks. That's why Mary McLeod Bethune founded NCNW, because she realized if I can get all the women aligned, then the brother's gonna follow us anyway. And the way that it works is that you have to invest. I'm gonna close with this. We have a 3C strategy. I'm sticking to it. A corporate strategy, which is around how we consume. I'm only aligning with brands that align with me, period, full stop. The second C is a constituent strategy. It's gonna be free to everybody. I'm just gonna tell you right now, we have a voter toolkit that we created for every seat that's going to be open in the 2026 election. We're gonna target all of our voter turnout into those congressional districts. NCNW was a nonpartisan organization. Okay, good. Now listen. If we don't win in 26, if we're not ready even in 25, New Jersey, Virginia, don't let your color not be your kind, be a miss. If we're not serious about the constituent strategy, we're going to lose the activation. But then lastly is a commitment strategy. The problem that we have is the ancestors fought for stuff they knew they weren't going to see. We are fighting for what we want in our pocket right now, and the pushback I have is, how dare we be so selfish? Don't cut me off now, because I'm going to get to this. I'm fighting for my grandchildren that are not even here. Because if I don't do that, then I spit in the face of my ancestors, and I won't do it.
Thank you, Reverend. Congresswoman, let me ask you this in relation to the difference that people don't always understand. We talked about how we got here. Prior to, I'd say, at least 15, 20 years ago, There were always differences across the aisle, but there was always a sense of understanding we've got to find some common ground, and there were things that you could work out and present. That no longer happens. Explain to people how difficult it is in the body you sit in to even talk to anyone.
So before I answer that, I want to amplify and finish a thought that Leader Jeffries had when he laid out the progress backlash. Because when you represent, and you were the first black woman elected to Congress from the Commonwealth of Virginia, you understand, Virginia, the birthplace of American democracy and the birthplace of American slavery, you understand that the ideals upon which, the history of this country is, how do we reconcile the ideals upon which we were founded with the reality of how we were founded, and how do we make those ideals true for everybody? And as the leader said, we've made progress and there's a backlash, and that backlash involves three things: propaganda, voter suppression, and violence.
Right.
And it is important we understand that, because one of the reasons it is so hard to reach across the aisle, it's not that there aren't people willing to find common ground, it's that they are afraid. It is that they are afraid for their personal safety. They are afraid they will lose their liberty. They are afraid for their families. And we need to understand that. We need to remember that in his first administration, in response to the protests in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, the President of the United States asked the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, well, can I just shoot them? And he had a chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who convinced him no, General Milley. But let me tell you a secret, because I've spoken to General Milley when I was a member of the Armed Services Committee. And General Milley said something that chilled me to the bone. He said, if the President of the United States invokes the Insurrection Act and he gives, as Commander-in-Chief, the armed forces an order to shoot protesters, that is a lawful order. Think about that for a minute.
Wow.
So General Milley was able to convince the president this is not an insurrection. But listen to the words he uses when he declares an emergency and deploys the National Guard or sends the Marines. He is itching to call an insurrection. And we need to be ready.
Gotta be ready.
And we need to be prepared. And we need to understand that when Russell Vought said, this is the second American Revolution and it will be peaceful if Democrats let it be, he was serious. We need to understand that. But we have gotten through the backlash because we recognize that a government by, of, and for the people, and the idea that power derives from the people is worth fighting for. And the idea is powerful enough, and we love this country enough that we want those ideals to apply to everybody. And that is what we are fighting for right now. And we need to, and I'll piggyback on something that the Reverend said. We are fighting the same fights that our parents, our grandparents, and our great-grandparents fought. We fight them from a position of more strength and power than they ever dreamed because they knew they wouldn't see it. Yesterday, my father would have turned 100 years old. I was the oops baby. He did not live to see his daughter take the oath of office on the Bible that he kept his poll tax receipt in. My mother did. And so we need to remember, this is why they don't want us to learn our history. They want us to be dejected. They want us to be overwhelmed. They want us to be hopeless. But this year, When I went to the African American History Museum with my children, like I do every year when they come here, this year, when I stood in the exhibit on the Middle Passage, a voice came to me that said, somebody survived that. So you can be here in this moment fighting this fight. And quite frankly, I don't deserve to get despondent or hopeless or give up. And if that means that I have to give my life so that their dream comes true, so be it. And we all need to accept that this is a pivotal moment. And just like, as a preacher kid, just like I understand that you have to go through the wilderness to get to the promised land, and just like I understand you got to go through the crucifixion to get to the resurrection, maybe this is what we have to go through as a nation to get to that more perfect union we were promised.
Mark, I'm going to have you follow up. I'm going to get them for you. I'm going to have you follow up on that, and I'm going to ask that Congresswoman Waters' staff meet me on the side there. She has brought some audio-visual flashcards for us, so here we go. I'm going to go get them. But let me, I got them just right there. I'll come get them for you. You know how we do. Y'all just carry on, carry on. Mark, I want you to talk about what she so eloquently talked about in terms of our ancestors and how important it is for us to make sure that we do not allow the rollbacks that we are already starting to see, because if we allow that, the devastation is unthinkable.
So I think what, and very well put, think about it. We are the generation that got an opportunity to climb the corporate ladder, walk into the federal agencies and become mid-level and top-level managers. We are the generation that had an opportunity to get elected to state legislatures and city halls and the Congress. If you go back to 1965, the only black members in Congress were Adam Clayton Powell, the late, great Adam Clayton Powell, Bill Dawson, your predecessor, Gus Hawkins, the congressman from Philadelphia, and Charles Diggs and John Conyers, and that was it. That was it. Shirley Chisholm came after that in '68. There was not a single black mayor in America in 1965. There were no black reporters, maybe one or two anchors, no black college presidents, no black, other than historically black colleges. Think about 1965. Think about what Brown v. Board, the Civil Rights Acts of '64, the Voting Rights Act of '65, and the protest movement and the black consciousness movement produced for our generation. I attended integrated schools the first year they were integrated. Had to be chased home because the integrated school was in a white neighborhood, being called the N-word. We got an opportunity to walk into elite colleges and universities, into state schools that have been historically segregated. All of this, and not one of us shed one drop of blood. Like she said, those that came before us, like you said, were thinking about the next generation. And they were tough, and they were hard, and they were proud, and they were resilient. In 1954, my mother, right after Brown v. Board, tried to enroll in Tulane University's graduate school. She went there and she was instigated by my father, who had just finished LSU Law School as his first black graduate, said, go to Tulane and enroll, try to enroll. She went there, they looked at her, and they said, we're sorry. State law does not allow us to accept Negroes. She said, but what about Brown v. Board? He said, well, we don't think that applies to us. Our forefathers and foremothers experienced all sorts of indignities, disrespect, and exclusion. The reason why that is the case, why I raise that, is that we have no choice. If you want to go hide, you need to get out of town. If you don't have the courage to stand up, I just don't have any respect for you. We are in this position, and it is the hand that we've been dealt. And we got to play this hand. And we got to play it with courage, with conviction. We have more degrees. Y'all got more Mercedes, BMWs, and Lexuses. Y'all got more Fendi and St. John. We got all of this stuff. Degrees, more than a thermometer. And we've got to use it and marshal it for the fight today. For the fight today. Because we owe it to the next generation. And Dr. King reminded us, I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. So that's this moment. It's the moment, it's a call to action for us to do everything. This is a guerrilla war, this is a guerrilla fight. Not G-O-G-U, not glorilla, not gorilla, but guerrilla. And that means you gotta pick up what you got. And every single organization, every single family, every single individual has to be in this fight. And that's the moment we're in.
All right, now he's talking about Glorilla, y'all. I don't know what to do with it. Reverend, let me ask you about what we have to be looking toward, and I don't think we're talking enough about it, and that's midterms.
Yeah.
And how important it is to mobilize and not just talk about this, but to make sure that we cast a ballot, and then more importantly, demand from those that we put in office to move bravely forward.
And even those that look like us, demand more of them. So two sides of this. First of all, we can't talk about the 26th election without redistricting. If you're in the state of California, Prop 50 to me is the smoking gun. And this is why I call us right now the Black Avengers. We gotta be Avengers in this moment. You have to understand that strategy without action and without folks being able to activate it is nothing but just strategy. So Prop 50 for me, I think is a litmus test of political capital. And you think about the black population in California is not that large, but it is one of the most powerful blocks because of the consistency of the black vote. If Prop 50 works, I call him Gangsta Gavin. I see what's going on. And to your point about the mobilization, first of all, we got to follow what's happening with the redistricting challenges. Texas, we talked about it. Indiana, Missouri, Louisiana, all these states. But if California pulls off what I think can happen, I am telling you we have a blueprint. Because here's the problem with the moral fight. Stop trying to be so moral. We get so caught up in doing what is right. The Bible talks about lawlessness. And it says that lawlessness is sin. Well, you got sin in the White House right now. So then we have to learn how to fight lawlessness with strategy on redistricting. Prop 50 is one. Number two was about getting out the votes. I want to be very, very clear. When we talk about that strategy that I shared with you earlier on each seat that's available in 2026. I don't care if you're a part of a black organization, if you are a young person, if you are going to be 18 by November of 2026, we have to activate schools, faith institutions, we have to activate barbershops, we got to activate the entertainment industry. Everybody has to be online with GOTV, getting out the vote, and it cannot be just voter registration. That's our challenge. And part of it is knowing the laws of your state, understanding that we need more black electoral polling judges in those spaces. So we've got to organize around that. Here's the last thing about holding our leaders accountable. First of all, shout out to everybody that voted no to that HR 719. Yes. For everybody that voted no against that, it is about pushing legislators, black, white, red, it doesn't matter what color you are. It matters about our interests. Black people are not a monolith, but we're not that far off, that we don't believe in the sanctity of us as a people collectively. Our children want the same things. We want clean water. We want to understand global policy. There's a massive assumption about us that is wrong. Black leaders should, and black preachers, I'm talking to you too, stop letting them come to your church. Stop, just stop. Unless they go to church already and come and talk to you in between an election period.
Amen.
If they're coming to bring a record on their first 90 days, their first 6 months, if they don't say, God bless you, it's a no. Because what that says is that black communities know how to hold you accountable. We don't just need your handout. We don't just need your help. We need hellified people knowing what they're doing inside of Congress and state houses. So it is about accountability and activation. Last thing, intergenerational leadership. In this moment, if I'm blessed to be on a panel with Maxine Waters, it's an honor. But I better get ready to help some 20-year-old to take my position. I've got to be in position. I got to say her name, Alexis Herman, who passed away this year, poured so much into me as a young girl. And she told me, it's your job to find the next one. So I'm looking for the next 22-year-old because I got blessed at 19 when I was learning how to vote to learn from them. So to the Congresswoman, to my soror, to all of us that we're doing this work together, but young people, you are the fastest growing voting bloc in this country. Millennials got 401ks. Stop calling them young. Gen Zs are in college. And Gen Alphas are my children. They're 10 years old at home in the ballot box with me because I'm teaching them. So I'm saying to us, Ed, you're right. It's a consistency amongst our people that requires accountability.
Congresswoman, I'm going to let you give some marching orders, and then we're going to let Congresswoman Waters close this out with something she just whispered in my ear that said is a little unconventional, but I was having the discussion with Mark. We need unconventional thought. Mark got to go cuss somebody out. Thank you for joining us, man. He's got to take a phone call.
That's all right.
Give us some marching orders, because I think that's what's most important.
So I'm glad this is going to feed in something unconventional, because we need to flip the script. And we need to simultaneously get back to the old school basics of organizing and adjust to a new reality of communication strategy. My biggest takeaway from 2024 was that we were running a 2016 campaign. But technology has moved so rapidly, and we've become so complacent and reliant on it that we forgot the old school basics of one-on-one relational community organization on the ground, face-to-face. So number one, we need to continue doing that, get back to basics. That's how Barack Obama got elected. But here's the challenge. I'm Gen X, and when I was a kid, that's right, I hear you, there are a few of us in here. And when we were kids, you got all your information from 3 TV networks, a morning and afternoon paper, your favorite radio show, and that was it. So it was really easy to get the word out. We don't live in that ecosystem anymore. And it's not just online, because I think people, some of my colleagues, a lot of my colleagues have at least gotten that enough to know, well, I need to be on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but we're still talking to each other. And we need your help. We need to help each other. Activists, those on the outside, those on the inside, multi-generational. We need to get back to reaching people where they are and not just talking to ourselves, but expanding and helping to educate other people who want to be our allies but don't fully understand what that means, or don't fully understand the moment, or don't understand the history that we have talked about here today. And so we've got to recognize we are not a monolith. While we are close together and we're focused on the same goals, we move differently. We have different skills, we have different communities, and we need to be able to connect all of those dots across generations. And we need to recognize, and this is my final message to the young people, because I remember being at a multi-generational roundtable with a group of Black women, and the Gen Z person not saying anything until they were asked, and what they said chilled me to the bone. And this was in 2019, and she said, every one of you around this table has seen progress in your life. All I've seen is regression. And now the planet is dying. I've got student loans I'll never be able to pay off. I don't know, and she listed all of the things in 2019. This is pre-COVID, this is pre-Trump too, this is pre-George Floyd. And she said, my generation asked, why bother? And it punched me in the gut because I bothered when I was 11. And I said, if you give up hope, we are lost. But had a Gen X person not asked a Gen Z person, what are you thinking? And then shut up and listen, then I wouldn't have realized, okay, we got to bridge that gap to help young people understand, who didn't see the progress and understand their role in carrying it forward. And if we don't do that with Z and Alpha, we are lost. John Lewis said, democracy is not a state, it is an act that requires every generation to do its part to build the beloved community. It is an all hands on deck moment, using whatever tools in your toolbox fit you, use it.
You are so right. If you think of someone 30 and under, they've only known a dysfunctional world. And so when they see dysfunction in the White House, it doesn't hit them the same way as it hits us. And so we have to show them the way. All right, this is what we're going to do. The Congresswoman here is going to close us out. I told you she has something unconventional. Now, do you just need me, or you need some of your staff members as well? Okay, I need one staff member to come up and join us. Give him a round of applause, hell. All right, Maxine. You need your, okay. She took my mic, go ahead.
First of all, while we're getting ready to show you something and to talk with you about something that politicians don't usually do. There was some complaints up here that we don't really step outside the box very much. First of all, let me just say to our young people, we have Young, Gifted, and Black every year where we helped to bring to the forefront the creativity of hip hop. And I went back when they were trying to censor hip hop and gangster rap and all of that. But some of those people that they were talking about saying things that they did not like ended up becoming producers and directors and creating a lot of activity for our economies and hiring lawyers and all of that. So for the young people in the room, Young, Gifted, and Black is on again this year, as it is every year where we have crowds. Now, about this, we talk about what they are doing to us and how they are doing it. We talk about the fact that, yes, this president has led his administration to cut Medicaid, $1 trillion. We talk about them getting rid of Medicare. We talk about them doing away with Section 8 in housing that we depend on. Well, we're gonna fight those fights. We fight them every day. We have people who are filing lawsuits. We file what is known as an amicus brief in support of those lawsuits. We do all of that. We're telling you to do something. We're telling you to vote. Most of you vote. We're telling you to get your friends out to vote and do all of that. But let's talk about how you fight, how you step outside of the box. Now, here's what, I've got something I want you to see. And I want you to see this because this is non-traditional. This is stepping outside of the box. But the President of the United States, who's a crook, who's been indicted, 34 convictions, is defending his friend Epstein. He will not allow the information to unfold. Yet, inside the Republican Party, there are few who want him to do it, and they're after him. What we need to do is take advantage of the moment. When I came into Washington, somebody told me there were 2 big statues that had been put up in Washington, D.C., with basically Trump and Epstein holding hands. Well, they're doing more than holding hands. And I want you to know what you can do. First of all, I want you to start with number 1. Trump and Epstein, sexual predators. Now, he does not want to see this. He does not want this in his face. But instead of you standing outside of the African American Museum saying, please don't take down the information about slavery, put this in his face. Make him see this. If you want to do something, create your own signs. Get 5 or 6 people. Go to the local supermarkets. Go somewhere and stand. How many visits Trump make? How many did he make to the Epstein home? What was he doing there? Why was he going? Epstein is Trump's Achilles heel. This is what he diverting all of this from. He does not want you to know what happened because he's too involved in it, and he will run when you put this in his face. Surround the African American Museum with the signs about him and Epstein. Trump hides information of rape among young girls by Epstein. Have you seen this stuff? Have you heard about this stuff? Do you know that this is weakness? Who's willing to make a sign, to hold a sign, to put it in his face and get down with some business of fighting in the way that we don't normally fight? You see this sign? Trump better release the Epstein sign. We're still going on with all of this, trying to get it done at the same time that we're getting ready for a budget, trying to keep the budget open, trying to keep the government open when we know that Trump is a hardliner. He will shut it down, but we're begging him to negotiate with us. Stop begging. Fight on their level. Get down with what is bothering him. How many people are willing to do this? How many people know about Epstein? How many people know it's a weakness? All right, get with us and let's get something unconventional done. Thank you.
Now she told us in the beginning you knew what you was gonna get. Let us thank this group one more time. Let me do this, guys. Just a bit of housekeeping. We are going to take some pictures here on stage. Don't run off. Give us 5 minutes. And then, as I mentioned to you earlier, my esteemed colleague Joy Reid is going to be here. Let us give Joy a round of applause for all of what, there she is, all of what she has done. This is a different game than the game I entered 30 plus years ago. And it takes a lot more to really stand in the breach, and she has done that for us. So thank you, Joy. We appreciate it. And so give us 5 minutes. We're going to do that. Don't go too far. Joy will be right up here and conduct part 2 of this town hall. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Tell me what's going on in your head. Tell me all the things you said. Tell me, brother,
please take your seats, everyone? Our program is about to resume. Please take your seats.
All right, good afternoon, or are we afternoon yet? It might still be good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're asking that folks could please go back to your seats. We're going to go ahead and continue with the second panel. And also as a quick note, if you have open seats next to you, can you either slide in or raise your hand? We have a lot of people that are in the back that don't have seats, that it would be great if we could get them to sit in. I know we're all family here, so we appreciate everybody working together. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. Wasn't that last panel great? Let's give it up one more time for the last panel. Some amazing speakers. Everybody was doing a great job. You know, we are a 501c3 here at the CBCF, so just wanted to make that little claim here real quick because we got some great commentary from the panelists around what was happening, and you know, they're allowed to say certain things and we are not. So thank you all so much again for this. We want to go ahead and get started with this second panel, and for me, it's really a rare opportunity to be able to introduce not one dynamic person, but two dynamic individuals all in the same day. And so again, it is my honor and privilege to help bring this next moderator to the stage, Miss Joy Ann Reid. Yes. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start it up. Everybody knows who Joy Reid is. I don't think she needs an introduction. Bring you on up, sis.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
All right, hey everybody. How you doing? No pressure having to follow the great Ed Gordon. No pressure at all. And Maxine Waters. I will make my sign, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. I follow instructions. Trump, release the Epstein files. Thank you very much. He's not going to release the Epstein files. He's scared. All right, let me introduce my illustrious panel who have got a lot of great information that we're going to bring to you. We're going to try to match the incredible level of that first panel. Let me start by introducing Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, who has represented New York in the U.S. House of Representatives since 2007. Before her election to the U.S. House of Representatives, she was a New York City Council member. She's a senior member of both the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Committee on Homeland Security. She currently resides in the Flatbush neighborhood, East Flatbush, Brooklyn. Come on, Brooklyn, my little hometown. A proud member of the Brooklyn Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Yes, and also the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus. Thank you very much. Give her a better round of applause than that. Come on, where Brooklyn at?
Y'all kind of cheap with the claps,
right? You gotta give real applause. Let's next introduce Judith Brown Dianis, who leads the Advancement Project National Office work in combating structural racism in education, voting, policing, criminal justice, and immigration. Since joining the Advancement Project at its inception in 1999, Judith has worked with grassroots organizations to wage successful campaigns using litigation, advocacy, and communications. Judith Brown Dianis also serves on the board of directors for Friends of the Earth and the Skadden Fellowship Foundation. Give her a robust round of applause. And last but not least, Damon Hewitt. He is the president and executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, one of the nation's foremost experts in civil rights litigation and policy. Damon Hewitt has more than 20 years of experience, including prior leadership roles in the nonprofit, philanthropic, and public sectors. Prior to joining the Lawyers Committee, he was the inaugural executive director of the Executives Alliance for Boys and Men of Color and was the chief liaison from the philanthropic community to the White House on policy issues impacting young men of color. Give him a great round of applause. Good to see you again, good brother. We didn't see you backstage, so we thought we were going to put an APB out for you, so we're glad that you're here.
I had to watch this amazing panel.
I heard.
Beforehand. It's my people, Mark and Siobhan and
Listen,
Auntie
that was a
Maxine.
power panel, so no pressure at all for you guys either. So we're going to talk on this panel about issues of unity. And particularly in the situation that we find ourselves in this country, we need unity on multiple levels. And so I want to kind of go through some of those levels. I do want to start with you, Congresswoman. We must start with our chair. Because the first thing we need as a people in order to survive this era is political unity. We have to have some sort of political unity. It may not be the first thing, but it is an important thing. How do we make sure that we are organizing ourselves politically so that we are a united front against what we're seeing in the oppression we're facing?
Well, first of all, let me just thank you so much, Joy and Reed, for moderating. Give it up for Joy, y'all. Y'all love Joy like I love Joy? Come on now. Let me again, to my fellow panelists, it's great to be here with you, and to the beloved community here gathered. Thank you for coming to today's town hall. You know, I think that it's important for us to recalibrate with respect to our interests. You know, the politics comes from a shared lived experience. And oftentimes we have allowed our oppressors to divide and conquer. And that has played out throughout history, with the exception of some times that were very significant in the life of this nation, where it was in fact Black people that saved it. I tell people all the time, if we can just sort of level set around the fact that we use the terminology democracy because of the Constitution of the United States of America, but we live the word democracy because of the abolitionist movement, because of the civil rights movement, because of the Black Power movement, because prior to that, this was not a democracy. And so once we come together around shared experiences and shared aspirations, now we're pulling together politically because we understand what is in our collective interest. And so there's got to be some recalibrating. I think that we've crossed the Rubicon in the 21st century that requires that we level set intergenerationally. Because there are enough people living amongst us today, and I'm going to wrap up because I know you got many more questions, who understood what Jim Crow was about because they lived it. There are enough people amongst us who understand what mass incarceration is like and being unjustly penalized in a civil society because they've lived that life. And we've had the absence in our community of that talent, of that expertise. And there are people alive today who know none of it. We're not exposed, we're not taught. And so they live in the moment. But what we're trying to do through unity is build a movement. And so I think that most of all, politically, we have to understand where we set as a people, not as individuals, but as a people. And I'm looking forward with the Congressional Black Caucus, 62 members strong, from Oregon to Rhode Island, from Connecticut to Colorado, from Brooklyn, I see y'all out there, to Minnesota. We are going to be moving across this nation and getting on the ground because it requires that we come out of our comfort zones and interact, engage, and have conversation with our people. That's where the unity comes from. We have to purge ourselves of the propaganda that is used and weaponized against us to divide us as a people. And when we are in that position where our young people are aligned with our seniors, and our seniors are aligned with our millennials, and our millennials are aligned with our alphas, then we're moving, then we're in unity, then we're ready for the victory.
Amen. So Judith, one of the things that we saw in the previous civil rights movement, of the many that we've had, the most recent one before the one we're fighting now, is that the various civil rights groups, whatever their maybe internal disagreements were able to move together as one and able to unite. Where are we on the path to getting our various civil rights organizations, including the Advancement Project and all the ones we know, all the letter organizations, to work together?
Well, I think, well, first of all, hey y'all, how are you? It's good to see you all. Welcome to Washington, D.C., occupied territory, but still Chocolate City. I was out on 8th Street Festival last week. It was still Chocolate City up in here. So, Joy, I think first of all, we are all working together, right? And because we understand the moment. This is, what is important for unity is to understand what you're up against and where you're trying to go. We understand what we are up against, and that's what happened during the Civil Rights Movement. They understood, as you said, Jim Crow. What we need to understand is not lose track of the plot. The plot is bigger than the little things that Trump is doing. The plot is authoritarianism. The plot is that he is consolidating power into the White House, that he is ignoring the 3 branches of government. He is ignoring the court orders. He doesn't care what Congress has to say. This is about an administration that wants to rule from on high. And that in order to do that, you have to do a few things. You have to dismantle the federal government. You have to neutralize the states. You also have to squash dissent. So what we are seeing across the country are anti-protest laws that are passing that are not allowing us to take to the streets in the ways that we would have before. There are new risks, right? Am I going to be charged with RICO? Just last week, this week, his EO about Antifa, which basically is going to designate anybody who is anti-fascist as a terrorist organization, and that's black organizations who took to the streets after Mike Brown was murdered, who took to the streets after George Floyd and Breonna were murdered. This is serious, y'all. And so for the civil rights organizations, we all have to understand what we are up against. The dismantling of DEI and all of the civil rights laws is another piece of being able to, and even the erasure of our history, is also about dismantling the tools that get us towards reparations, right? If you erase the history, then we've got no basis for saying, you owe us. We've got no basis for saying that we need civil rights laws to protect us because you have said that y'all did nothing to us. This country did nothing to us, that we're just actually lazy, can't get jobs, all of that, right? So we have to understand that the dismantling of civil rights protections, the federal government, there is a bigger play. And so for us in the civil rights organizations, we're able to come around the table because we also know that we don't have time for difference. That's right. There's bigger fish to fry. And it's not about which tactic, and I think that's the thing about the civil rights movement was you had SNCC, you had COFO, you had NAACP, you had SCLC, all different, doing a different tact, right? But all understanding that they were up against white supremacy. That's right. And that's what we're up against now, white supremacy and authoritarianism.
So, Damon, if you could dig a little deeper into that, because I want to go back to this Antifa piece, because I wanted to ask you about the sort of legal community. We've seen some of the law firms bend the knee. We've seen some fight back, but it has not been a unified effort. But let's dig deeper on this Antifa thing. Raise your hand if you understand that there is no group called Antifa, right? I always say when right-wingers say Antifa, I say, is Antifa in the room with you right now? And I'm a big fan.
ED. Are you the ED of Antifa?
Yeah, right, exactly. But I'm a fan, Damon, of using the full words, of not letting the right warp language by truncating words. When they say they're against DEI, I prefer you tell me which are you against, diversity, equity, or inclusion, because I say the full word. Antifa is a shortening of the word anti-fascist. And so people who see what they consider a fascist march, such as what happened in Charlottesville, will show up to physically fight fascists. So Antifa isn't real, it isn't an organization. It's just people who are anti-fascist. Now, sometimes they physically fight them, so they'll get violent, but they're not an organization. Right. But by designating any anti-fascist group as an enemy of the state, now you're on to something legally if you're the administration, if you're the regime, because I'm against fascism, so that makes me Antifa. They're now saying things like the Ford Foundation that simply funds, historical, trying to get black history to be elevated. Anything that's anti-fascist, even though they claim they're not fascists, but they're trying to go after anti-fascists. How do we fight that when they're playing that kind of a game?
Well, the language is so important, Joy. First, thank you. Thank you to the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, one of the most important philanthropies in this country, that's standing up for not just diversity, equity, and inclusion, but racial equity and racial justice, supporting so many amazing organizations. But the language is important. The language is important because if you have black in your name, you can't take it out. This is not just CBCF, it's the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Right. The language has to be clear. So when some people heard about Antifa, they say, well, I'm glad I'm not part of that, because I'm pro-Tifa. I'm Latifa. Like, I don't know about no Antifa. But here's the thing, most people in this country don't even have a connection to what fascism is or what it means. If you remember from history class, you think, oh, was that Mussolini in Italy during World War II? What was fascism? Fascism is what we're living through right now. So definitional clarity, strategic clarity is really important. I loved what you said about using the whole words, because we're at a time when we have to relearn, re-explain what is. Because what the other side is doing day to day is like a Jedi mind trick. They said, these are not the droids you're looking for. What they're saying, well, these laws, civil rights laws, no, those are actually for us now. They're not for you. The same laws that were designed to promote inclusion and equity are now being used to exclude us. We have to get definitional clarity. Just like you said, if you're not for diversity, you must be for racial isolation. If you're not for equity, you must be comfortable with gross inequity. If you're not for inclusion, you must be for exclusion. We can reclaim that language. We can reclaim these concepts, but we have to be clear. And every time we get DEI'd, we are likely to DIE. We have to have our own operational clarity, our strategic clarity, and our language clarity. Because we have to know at the end of the day, when, number one, what people are talking about, what do they mean, but how do you know somebody's really for you or not? How do you actually know? It's because they have a DEI program. What does that program actually do? Is it you know they're not for you because they dismantled their DEI program? What did that program do in the first place for black people? So we have to be really clear and really specific and not get comfortable just on the surface. This is a time, as Judy and I were talking earlier, where nonprofits are challenged, elected officials are challenged, including our friends, who we have to hold accountable. But this is a time where every individual, every leader, every organization has to look in that proverbial mirror and say, who am I going to be in this moment? Who are we going to be in this moment? Because we're talking about being clear with language to other people, we got to be clear with ourselves first.
Right. Amen. No, exactly.
Joy, just on the
Please.
Antifa, folks need to understand that we are in a moment that the Black Panthers were in. I just want us to sit with that. We're in a moment that MOVE was in, right? Where our organizations are going to be under attack for standing up for our civil and human rights. It's not radical, y'all, that we should be free. It's not radical, but it's radical to those who want to continue to suppress us and repress us. And so in this moment, when you hear about this Antifa thing, know that it's you, because you're sitting here talking about being black. You're sitting here talking about beating white supremacy. So just understand that what is happening is that the government is going to be weaponized against our movements and our people, and that we have been here before, and that we have overcome it before, and that we will get through this, but it's going to take us to be aligned and ready to stand.
And I mean, we can use language too. I mean, if you say that anti-fascism is bad, then you're pro-fascist. So maybe y'all are just pro-fasci, and we'll just have to just describe all of you, because you're basically saying if you're anti-fascist, you're the enemy, then you must be fascists. They're admitting it, right? It's an admission against interest in a weird way. And also, you know what, maybe we're in the age of Don Crow. I'm just throwing it out there as a possible talking point. Feel free to use it.
Y'all gonna get that when you get home.
You're gonna get it when you get home. There was Jim Crow.
And there's Don Crow.
And then there's Don Crow. You see where I'm going with that?
And if you're from the West
We can use
Indies,
language
there's John
too.
Crow.
And look, and we are the people that actually invented all the language they keep stealing. We make it up and then they appropriate it like they take off TikTok dances.
And there are a lot of young people out there who are being hoodwinked and believing in false martyrs, and those are the Jimmy Crows.
Correct.
Beware of false prophets.
A lot of people.
That's right. God will not be mocked. Okay. Let's talk about the other sort of pieces of unity, because there's also this question of coalitions.
Yes.
We had this conversation in the back about whether we should be thinking about coalitions outside of our core group of black folks. Before we can even get there, though, we have to deal with the anti-immigrant sentiments that are being stoked inside our group, so that we're not empathetic when people are being dragged off the street, because in our minds, the brown people who are being victimized aren't part of us. Forgetting that there are many black immigrants, too, who are incorporated into our families. How do we fight that? Because that is an active disinformation campaign that is working on some levels.
Absolutely, Joy. Let me just say that I think, again, you know, we have to level set. And we have to make sure that we are really exchanging information. I want to say educate, but there's been a lot of misinformation and miseducation out there. I share with people all the time, because I am the daughter of Caribbean immigrants, that, you know, the civil rights movement was funded by a whole lot of folk. A lot of people were on the front lines of that and were in coalition, not only coalition, but felt the need, the passion in their DNA to make sure that our people came through that movement. One of those people was Harry Belafonte. Where y'all think Harry Belafonte from? You know what I'm saying? We can go down the list. Stokely Carmichael. We can go down the list. Marcus Garvey. Right? There's so many, but that has always been, and I started this in my other conversation, the divide and conquer. You know, I lament the fact that, you know, when we get into spaces where we do that to one another, it's just doing the master's bidding. Yes. At the end of the day, we don't know who we're related to in this room right now.
I mean, they got us fighting over where our enslaved ancestors got dropped off. That's a hell of a thing to try to take pride in.
Some folk were born here in the U.S. and were shipped out to the Caribbean and to South and Central America. Some people from South and Central America were shipped over here.
Right.
So we're blended people. We're blended people, if not in DNA, definitely in culture. But that's the beauty of our diversity. That's the beauty of what we bring to this world. And so I think a lot of it has to be not allowing the master to define who we are, or the would-be master, because they ain't mastering me. We need to define ourselves. And in doing that, the unity and the strength that comes from that, they can't stand it. They can't handle it. And so we have to be able to empower ourselves in this moment, Joy.
Indeed.
That's the unity.
Indeed. And then we also have to think about, Judith, the question of apathy. You know, one of the issues we saw in 2024 is that, you know, 33% of Americans didn't even participate in the election. And if you add them to the people who voted for Kamala Devi Harris, it was 2/3 of the country that just either didn't participate or voted to not have fascism. But there's a tremendous amount of apathy in our community. Not just our young people, who are not all apathetic, a lot of them are very active, but how do we fight the disinformation that is leading to apathy, that's perpetuating apathy?
That's a big question. Well, I think there's a few things. One is that we have a lot of apathy because people have not seen the material conditions of their lives changed by voting. We got to admit that. right? And that there's actually a lack of information about the things that did change that might have made their lives better, right? And so there's a disconnect, right? And at the same time, democracy is also a 365-day a year job, right? So you can't go vote and then not hold the person accountable. You can't go vote and not go show up at their office here in DC or their office in Brooklyn or their office in LA or wherever and expect that they're just gonna do the work for you and trust in them. Sometimes you gotta tighten them up, and sometimes you gotta pat them on the back and say that was a good job. So I think that we've gotta we've gotta build the muscle around democratic participation that is beyond the voting booth. I also think that we're in a time where, especially, I mean, the polling, et cetera, shows that young people are not identifying with a party. They're up for grabs because they are thinking about who's in my interest. What are you doing for me? I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever. What are you doing for me? So that means that the people who are running have to know the people that are in their district, in their ward, et cetera, and understand what they are going through. And sometimes there's a big disconnect between our electeds and the people. Some of them might spend too much time in DC, or some of them just don't want to talk to us, especially in black neighborhoods. They're like, we know what y'all need, right? And so I think that part of this is also us pushing them, right? And pushing them, but also the other thing is that everybody needs to talk to the people in your family. I had a whole conversation, text message conversation with my niece after that person was assassinated a few weeks ago. And she and her church, very young people, were like, this is horrible. He was killed because of his words. She did not know who that person was. Had never heard of that person until that person was killed. And we're going to stand up because the person apparently, they think, was godly and preached the word of the Bible all the time. So we had to have a little back and forth. You know, and I'm looking, and I said to her, look, you know Aunt Judy don't go to church all the time, but let me start giving you some scriptures real quick. And my daughter was helping me. My daughter who's been saved, she's like, use this one. So, but I'm saying that to say, get your family together. Let's start there. Get your family together so that we all have an understanding of what we're up against and why we should be participating and voting.
But before we even get there, David, we have to assume that we will even have free and fair elections going forward, and I'm not confident about that at all. So talk to us about the legal strategy, because I feel like we keep talking about fixing it in the midterms and pretending that the current occupant of the White House is just gonna leave in 2028. And I think that is an insane assumption. Like, you don't build a $200 million ballroom because you're moving out. I mean, he's turned that place basically into a slightly uglier Marriott, the White House, right? I mean, I don't think it's pretty. I like the Rose Garden. That's me personally. So what is the strategy, the legal strategy, around making sure that we even have an opportunity to change the party in power?
Judy wants to know too. What's that strategy? No, but look, your boy's got the gold package in spades. Like, he just got it everywhere, right? He's not trying to go anywhere. So look, to explain the legal strategy, let me just take you a short walk to history, just a few years ago. After the 2020 election, which Trump lost, we represented the NAACP, my organization, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, represented NAACP state conferences in about 15 lawsuits that we were fighting because there were people filing lawsuits at the state level to overturn the valid results of that election. But in 2024, we said we have to do more of the same. Instead, we're involved in almost as many lawsuits before Election Day because the game shifted. The game shifted to, let's purge people from the voter rolls at the last minute. The game shifted to, let's require a hand recount in Georgia, which would take not days, probably not even weeks, but longer to try to tie things up in the muck. The game shifted to, let's actually make election certification discretionary, so local officials don't have to do it if they don't want to. And so we are looking at, some of those lawsuits still continue. We're able to stave some of them off, but these strategies, these tactics will continue. So we are in the process right now of using the legal strategy, the law we have, to fight back to preserve your, my, our opportunity to not only cast the ballot access, but to make sure that vote actually counts once the ballot is cast and remains counted, because we cannot take that for granted anymore. But there's also a crew of us who understand what got us here won't get us there. I, for one, refuse to spend the rest of my life and career only defending the ground that somebody got and earned before me. We have to gain new ground.
That's right. That's right.
We gain new ground by vocal defiance. We gain new ground through new ideas. We gain new ground by trying and failing sometimes. But, you know, the astrophysicists say the universe is constantly expanding, getting bigger. That's how we should be thinking about democracy and access and opportunity and voice and power. It should continuously expand, but it doesn't do that naturally, and it also doesn't stay in place. It will contract and get smaller unless we push it. So we need new legal paradigms. You know, people think we all have the right to vote. There is no fundamental right to vote in the U.S. Constitution.
That's right.
I'm sorry to tell you. The 15th Amendment protects your right to vote from being impinged by race or prior condition of servitude, slavery, but that's about what shouldn't happen to you. Where's our fundamental positive right to vote? That should be easy. That should be very American. Not just good for black folks, but good for all folks. So we need new legal paradigms that may sound like positive rights or fundamental rights, maybe even some when it's safe to do it. Not right now. An amendment to the Constitution, because they'll try to go the other way. But we know what got us here won't get us there. We need a new John Lewis Voter Rights Advancement Act. I think that was spoken about on the prior panel. But I don't want the same law that was passed in '65 or that was reauthorized in '82, which was stronger, or was reauthorized in 2006, 98-0 in the Senate. Can't find those people now. We need something that's even more robust, that speaks to the lived experience of black people, that speaks to how racism has shape-shifted, and also speaks to how it may shift and morph in the coming years as well. What got us here won't get us there. We need to be policy ready, strategy ready, and frankly, just strength and steel ready.
Thank you for doing that future-oriented, presentation. I really appreciate it. You can applaud for that, because that was going to be actually my closing question to each of you, is let's just say we were creating a Project 2028. Because we know the other side began thinking about what became Project 2025 in 1988. So they've had a full generation at the Heritage Foundation to start plotting and planning what it would look like if they could have full authoritarian power. They just needed the right avatar. They just needed the right, TV comedian who could take the job and clown the rest of the country into going along. They got them. And they're just implementing the plan just off of the website. They're just literally checking it off. I think they're 55% of the way through Project 2025. So let's say if we were creating a Project 2028. We're a little late, but let's say we were creating it. What would a country, a nation look like that was fully just for our people? What would need to be in that package? We've just heard Damon give us some of those ideas. But Damon, I'm going to start with you first and go down the line. Each of you give us what would be in your Project 2028.
Sure. It may not be the first thing on people's minds. We got to put some draws on the Supreme Court, y'all. This shadow docket. There are ways to guide and channel and put guardrails on the power of the court that don't require a change to the Constitution. It's just a statute. Congress can do it. The Judiciary Act of 1789 and every iteration since then can do that. The other thing is we need to take the civil rights laws we have that tell us the anti-discrimination pieces and start creating some positive rights pieces. Fair housing, educational opportunity. I also think about the right to be safe from state violence by the police and vigilante violence by white supremacists, because we sue a lot of those folks too. at the Lawyers Committee. So we need concepts of safety that center our community, concepts of opportunity, and also, frankly, an opportunity to build something that we can pass down to the next generation. Whether you call that wealth, whether you call that opportunity, whatever you want to call it, we need things like that to pass it down. So I would like to see in a Project 2020 whatever, something that looks more like a stretch towards positive rights that we know will benefit our community and all communities.
Judith?
So I would double click on some of this. Right to vote, definitely. A right to housing. A right to health care. You know, these healthcare, education. We actually don't have a right to education either in this country. We need a right to education. So those things, and then reparations. You know, reparations, and it's not just about the monetary. It's about acknowledgement of the harm, and it's repair. And that repair isn't just the money. Yeah, I want my check. I want my check. I don't know how we divide it. We figure, y'all don't get caught in that conversation.
Right,
Everybody,
right.
how we gonna divide it? Don't worry about that. Let's just worry about getting it. And then, but then also, it is also about the things that we need to be safe and to thrive. Reparations should include that. What's in our communities for mental health to undo the harm, right? To undo the fear of living under occupation in Southeast and Northeast DC, when young people are seeing people walking through their hoods with rifles and camouflage and masks on. So the right to repair is more than the money, but it's about how do we get to healthy and thriving communities.
Well, let me just say that I definitely concur with my panelists here. I think that there's some work that just needs to be done in the community in order for us to get to these spaces. I don't think it's, I think Damon really horned in on this point. In a democracy, you do have elected representation, but it's a symbiotic relationship that we have with the people we represent. And that means that we have to be informed by your lived experiences. Yes, you may elect us, but nothing is static, everything is dynamic. We need to know in real time how we collaborate with the people that we represent so that we are meeting the mark for a planned future. I don't talk about project, whatever it's going to be, 28, 30. I'm thinking about how do we build strength from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. Because what we're experiencing right now, we're not going to recover from in one election cycle or even 2 election cycles. And we shouldn't be looking for that at this stage. We should be looking to build enough momentum that our seniors can live in dignity and that our children can grow up in an environment and an atmosphere that will lift them to where their rightful place is in our society. And that may sound very Pollyanna-ish, but I'm a beneficiary of that. So I know it's possible. In my village, they believed in black children enough to shut down the public school education system, rebuild it with my image inside. So I know that the federal enterprise is going right now. Our goal should be to make sure that when that is rebuilt, that our lived experience is in the DNA of those agencies so that fair housing is realized. Remember, we inherited a 20th century post-colonial, post-fascism, if you will, infrastructure in the United States of America. And what was happening in the Democratic Party was a shift. Because prior to the 60s, black people were Republicans. Hello? And we muscled our way in because we were able to, our civil rights leadership was able to get LBJ to do some right things. We said, okay, we'll give y'all a chance. Y'all did some right things. But we never held anyone accountable. And so people were tinkering at the margins. Now, we are in the rebuilding phase. We are the reconstruction phase. And I believe at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be about collaborating with outside groups. I'm talking to my people directly. Black folk, we gotta move. We are part of this society. We gotta build. And let's talk about what that looks like from generation to generation to generation, because that is what our adversaries have certainly been doing. And unfortunately, we have been on cruise control. Those days are over, y'all. It's time to roll up our sleeves, and I call this moment the whose side are you on moment. Whose side are you on? There is no gray area here, y'all. It's about us and our survival, or it's about us and how we perished and how we failed our next generation. And I know y'all don't want to be a part of that. So y'all down for the movement?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, this sounds kind of
Amen.
weak up in here.
Amen.
Y'all down for the movement?
Yes.
CBC is on the move, and we looking to make sure we partner with black people across this nation. We don't care if you're represented by CBC or not. We gonna find you. We were in Nashville, working with those state legislators, working with those state municipal, because they don't have a congressional representative here in Washington, D.C. We will go where we need to go. We are building out that infrastructure. We are making sure that there are connective tissues to all of these organizations. The brilliance, we got it. And they know we got it. That's why they're trying to dismantle what we've built.
Amen. Amen. So on that note, to pick up on what the Congresswoman said, give us an opportunity to support what you all are doing, because this is important, that we support the black organizations that are fighting for us. Y'all agree, right? We got to fight for those who are fighting for us. So Damon, I want you to start by telling us what your organization is doing, how we can support you.
I'll give you 3 quick examples. Number 1, we'll be back in trial in Texas on October 1st on redistricting, fighting the racial and political gerrymander, or the political racial gerrymander. We just finished a trial 2 months ago on the same thing, but then they redistricted again. They got to partisan advantage by targeting black and brown elected officials and black and brown communities who vote together as a coalition. They say it's all partisan. They get into partisanship through racist means, and we're going to prove that in court again, starting October 1st. We're also challenging Trump's anti-DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, executive orders, and we're dragging his people through up and down the court right now, winning in federal court out of Chicago. When the federal judge asked his people, his lawyers, DOJ lawyers, what is illegal DEI? They said, we don't know, we haven't done the analysis. Judge said, injunction, you lose. And we're going to keep on winning. We are also suing, in his individual capacity, Trump, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and a number of people who were convicted, sentenced, and now pardoned for their role in the January 6th insurrection. If the federal judge here in D.C. determines that his acts were not official acts, but they were purely personal, he, even as the sitting president, will be hauled in the depositions and in the trial, and will beat him there too. If you want to support this work and be a part of it and connect with it, join our Civil Rights Solidarity Fund at the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. Go to our website, lawyerscommittee.org. There's 2 M's, 2 T's, 2 E's. Lawyerscommittee.org. The first thing you see will be Civil Rights Solidarity Fund to be part of this work.
Amen. Judith, what is the Advancement Project doing? How can we support you?
So for those, thank you, Joy, for this. Many people may not know Advancement Project. We've been around for 26 years. We are former NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund lawyers who work directly with grassroots organizations to end structural racism and white supremacy. The work that we're doing now, voting rights, we've been in the voting rights fight in '99. We opened our doors in 2000. A little election happened, and Florida had a problem, and we filed that lawsuit with others. But we have cases across the country. We're fighting in Florida. We have a case in Virginia. We've got cases in Georgia. We've got a few cases in Georgia, because Georgia understands. That legislature, the governor understands the power of the black vote in Georgia, and so we have litigation there. We also are working on the occupation of black cities under the Trump administration. And that work is connecting with groups on the ground to understand how their playbook and how to push back. We saw it here in DC, we saw it in LA, what it means to organize an occupation LA, people push back on that, right? In DC, you will see people are running them off. They're clowning these people out there in the streets, right? But we are working with grassroots organizations to be ready when the occupation comes, because it is coming for black cities. It is especially coming for black cities run by black mayors. And they're turning to red states because they're going to get the governors to open the door for this to happen. So we're working on that. And then the last thing is, public education in this country is under attack. This administration and the right have not wanted public education. They are going to vouchers, they're going to charters, and they know that when that happens, they will resegregate schools. We understand that what happened after Brown was that churches, white churches, opened up academies just for white kids, and they rather close down school systems than have black children go to school with white children. Well, today we are on the precipice of losing public education because of budgets. And what is happening is the schools in black neighborhoods are being closed down, and our children are having to go across town to go to public school.
Now, Judith, you know I love you. I have to wrap you because we over time.
So, yes, sorry. So you can go to advancementproject.org and find out more about our work, and sure, you can click on that donate button.
Thank you, and I'm going to let the Congresswoman close us out very quickly. What is the CBC
Very
Foundation
quickly,
doing?
we are supporting the work of these organizations.
Yes.
We stand to lose upwards of 10 Congressional Black Caucus members with mid-decade redistricting. 10. We are currently at the highest watermark of 62 members in the Congressional Black Caucus. I want to encourage y'all who have unsubscribed to Paramount Plus and everything else, get that money to these organizations over here and get a charitable tax deduction for these nonprofit organizations. Come on, y'all, shift your priorities. Let us build from within so that we can strengthen for the movement ahead. God bless you.
Amen. Free DC, free Black cities, DC statehood. Damon Hewitt, Judith Brown Dianis, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. Free DC, y'all. Thank you very much.
Free DC.
Te dije mi nombre y no sé dónde, como con un beso me respondes. Solo te importó que te tratara bien. Tú de 19 y yo de 23, y empecé mis planes para vernos otra vez. Y si pudiera mostrarte que estando juntos ya no hay nada que falte, y que a pesar de la distancia te voy a querer. Solo tienes que saber que yo quisiera quedarme, y aunque no debo, solo quiero llamarte, que repitamos las historias una y otra vez. No sé cómo te pido que te enamores, cuando al final no voy a estar, cuando tú llores. Cómo te pido que te ilusiones y recortar nuestra distancia con canciones. Cómo te pido si al final no voy a estar, cuando de ti me enamore, cuando de ti me enamore. Recuerdo todo lo que te gustaba y tu camisa que llega a los pies, esa carita cuando te cantaba por primera vez. Me llevo todo y no me llevo nada, sin ti no hay nada, todo te dejé. Sé que es muy pronto para estas palabras, pero las diré. Como tu mano y mi mano en la noche no sienten frío, sin ti las horas se pasan pero con días vacíos. Como en Marbella las olas, tú estabas bella y a solas, y yo te extraño y te extraño, pero te llamo y lo olvido. Como te quiero y te quiero, pero este amor ya no es mío. Sé que tu boca y mi boca cuando se juntan hay lío. Como quisiera quedarme pero ahora no estás conmigo. Sé que la vida se pasa pero no pasa contigo. Como te pido